on the scene of crime because he always runs away. You would not find him in the basement or up in the air because he is just not there. In this stanza, the poet says that Macavity has supernatural powers, like that of the power of levitation, with which he can float in the air. So this makes Macavity even more mysterious, even more hidden. So there is this sense of confusion, this sense of mystery around Macavity. We don't know what all he can do, right? So let's move on to the third stanza now. Macavity is a ginger cat. He's very tall and thin. So, ginger is a person with red hair, freckles, and pale skin. So, the poet says that Macavity is a ginger cat. He's very tall and very thin. You would know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. The poet says that if you look closely, his eyes are sunken in, meaning they're deep set in his face. They're lower than the surrounding area. His brow is deeply lined with thought, his head is highly domed. The poet says that Macavity's brows are always tensed, as if he's always thinking about something. Because he's a criminal, he's always thinking about his next move. They're scrunched up, lined with deep thinking. His head is hemispherical, domed in shape. His coat is dusty from neglect, his whiskers are uncombed. The poet says that Macavity has failed to care for his appearance. He has neglected his coat, which has become dusty now, and his whiskers means a cat's facial hair. They are also not combed properly. So basically the poet wants to say that Macavity looks shabby, very untidy, very unkempt. He doesn't care about his appearance at all. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake, and when you think he's half asleep, he's always wide awake. So the poet says that he sways. Sways means moves from one side to other. So he swings his head from side to side like that of a snake. He's very flexible. He also says that Macavity fools people by pretending to be asleep. So when people think that he's sleeping, he's actually wide awake. He isn't sleeping at all. So in this stanza, the poet has described Macavity's appearance. He's described Macavity as a tall, thin cat with deep-set eyes and a hemispherical head. But he doesn't care about his appearance, as his coat is always dusty and his whiskers are uncombed, unkempt. We are also told that Macavity fools people by pretending to be asleep when he's actually wide awake. So let's move on to the fourth stanza. Macavity, there is no one like Macavity, for he is a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. So the poet repeats himself.